I'm playing through every Pokemon region, but I have to use an actually unique team. Everyone knows that one team that's super common, like a Charizard, a Pidgeot, a Gyarados. It all gets a bit boring, you know? That's why I started this series over on TikTok, where I used my followers' suggestions on what team to build using underused Pokemon. So if you're mad at me that a certain Pokemon didn't make the cut, blame the people commenting, not me, please, okay? And if you want to be involved in the next episode in this series, head over there and give me a follow. Anyways, there's a few rules to go over. First, we can only use Pokemon from this generation. Next, we're going to try and catch as many Pokemon as possible, or until I get bored, so there will be a Pokédex counter somewhere on your screen. Finally, all battles will be in set mode and no items inside battle. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and like the video if you enjoy it. This has taken a very long time to make, so any support would be much appreciated. That's enough talking though, let's begin. So yeah, we start the journey off like any other by naming ourselves Fried, and then for our rival, we just keep it as Gary. But if you leave a comment on this video, I'll pick a random person's name to be my rival in the next one. So we do all the boring stuff, you know, walking into grass, an old guy telling us it's dangerous, he brings us back to his place, he touches us a little. Look, realistically, if I was in this world and had to get through a Rattata, I'm punching its head clean off. Or is that too much? Okay, anyways, now it's time for the biggest choice in the game. What starter do we pick? It's not really a question, to be honest. We all know who we're picking. It's Bulbasaur, right? It's Bulbasaur. And with that, we have our first underused team member, Ivan the Bulbasaur. There is going to be a nickname theme, so see if you can figure out what that is. But we absolutely decimate Gary's Charmander and then head through Route 1 without catching any new Pokemon. We reach Viridian City, where we see an old guy who looks like me after a solid night out, but we grab Professor Oak's parcel and return it back to him in his lab. In return, he gives us a Pokédex, which I'm going to be using to search up pictures of Vaporeon. We end up talking to Gary's sister, and she gives us the town map to help with our travels. Now that we have Pokeballs, we catch ourselves a Rattata and a Pidgey to start beefing up our Pokédex a little. We get back to Viridian City and head over to the left side on Route 22, where Gary challenges us to a battle. And of course, it's a light work for Ivan the Bulbasaur, especially with the disrespect crit. On this route, we also catch a Mankey and a Spearow to bring our Pokédex total to 5. Next stop is Viridian Forest, since we have to get to Pewter City. We catch a Weedle here as well as a Caterpie while we grind Ivan's level up a bit. This place is kind of a nightmare for Ivan since there's so many trainers with Kakunas and Metapods who all only use Harden, so Ivan has to Leech Seed and then just stand there waiting for them to die. But after all that boring battling, we finally reach Pewter City and prepare to take on our very first gym leader in an ultimate fight of... Yeah, okay, Ivan kind of whooped him, I can't lie. I don't know, this guy's kind of on smoke. After that, we get the running shoes from Professor Oak's aid, and then we decide to level up Ivan a bit more to make things a bit easier. He ends up evolving into an Ivysaur, so that's pretty nice. On Route 3, we also catch a Jigglypuff to add to the team, as well as a Nidoran for the Pokédex. We name the Jigglypuff Lilia, and we're back on the road. Yes, Jigglypuff is a pretty popular Pokemon, but I think that's only outside of games because this Pokemon absolutely sucks in game. I mean, her only damaging move is Pound, like how I pound your mother. So the road leads us to Mount Moon, which honestly isn't that bad, it's just annoying, but we do manage to catch a Zubat here, as well as a Geodude and a Paris to bring our Pokédex total up. We fight a few Team Rocket Grunts and eventually arrive to the choice of the fossils. Now, it honestly doesn't matter which one I take, since neither will make the team, but I ended up choosing the Helix fossil because, you know. Anyways, we arrive into Cerulean City after that and head to the Nugget Bridge to beat up Gary again real quick. Except Lilia is an absolutely useless Pokemon and gets knocked out. So then we take our team to the gym leader Misty, where I tried to get Jigglypuff involved again, but they just got kind of one-shot, so Ivan had to come out and finish it himself. Since Lilia is not holding her weight in this team at all, we decide to evolve her now with the Moonstone we found in Mount Moon. So now hopefully her stats are a little better, she'll actually be able to help during the fights. We finish defeating all of Nugget Bridge and get to the end where we get recruited to join Team Rocket, but the game doesn't allow you to join, which kind of sucks. I'm just saying, I would make a great Team Rocket grunt. I would be stealing everyone's Pokemon. Next to the bridge, we also catch an Oddish, Kakuna, as well as an Abra. We travel above to Route 25, passing all these trainers. There's a ton of trainers here, by the way. I never noticed this. It's like walking into a Bonnie Blue recording session. We reach Bill's house where he's accidentally turned himself into a Clefairy and asked us to change him back. Me personally, I would have had a bit of fun before turning him back, but that's besides the point. We turn him back and he gives us the ticket to board the SS Anne as a reward. We make a break for Route 5 to board the ship and catch a Meowth along the way. We arrive at Vermilion City, and before anything, I add our next team member to the party, which is in this house. Here, you can trade a Spearow for a Farfetch'd, which I'm pretty sure is the only way you can get Farfetch'd in this game. We can't rename him, unfortunately, so we're stuck with Chiding. On Route 11, we also catch a Drowsy here, as well as a Diglett in Diglett's Cave, and then we got absolutely wiped by a level 31 Dugtrio. Finally, after all that, we make it to the ship and board it. It's pretty straightforward what we have to do here. It's just beat up as many trainers as possible, which we do. We run into Gary here as well, who challenges us again. He also says he's caught 40 types of Pokemon already, which I find very hard to believe, Gary. I don't think that's actually possible. But in the fight, our bird beats his bird because our bird got a crit. Make that 2 crits. Ivan comes in to take care of his Raticate, as well as one-shotting his Kadabra and ending his Charmeleon. So honestly, I might have a goat on my hands right now. We head upstairs where we find the captain, and he's feeling a little bit sick. So we rub him off, and in return, he gives us the HM for cut. I mean, I asked for $10, but I guess this is fine. But now that we have cut, it means that we have access to Route 9 now. I do a bit of grinding here, and then Ivan decides to evolve into Venusaur, which I was kind of shocked about because I thought he'd evolve at level 36. You know, like any other normal starter. We also catch a Voltorb on this Route 2, but then we reach Rock Tunnel, which doesn't really have much for us except for an Onix and a Machop. So after we escape that place, we end up in Lavender Town where Pokemon come to die. And I don't have the Sylph Scope yet, so exploring this place is pretty limited. But I do know that Gary is here mourning over the loss of his Raticate, or whatever that theory was. All I know is that I'm here to laugh at him crying. That little rat deserved it, Gary. Just to pour salt on the wounds, I beat his team up for good measure as well. We explore Route 12 a little bit, which is below Lavender Town. Unfortunately, it's blocked off right now by your mother, so we'll have to come back later. I have been leveling up Chiding quite a lot though, and he's learnt Sword Stance, which is great for us, but also, he's refusing to listen to us now because he's too high level. If there was an option to, I would be deep frying this bird right now. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem if I fought the gym leaders in order, but I completely skipped over Lieutenant Surge, and I still haven't realized it yet at this point. So, ignoring that for now, we reach Celadon City, which is my favorite place in this game because of the gambling. You can take the coins you win from gambling and trade them for some pretty rare Pokemon, especially this Porygon, which costs 9,999 coins, which is the max amount you can carry at once. So I gambled a little bit off camera and I got a few coins, and I got myself the Porygon. You know, because I doubt many people are going to be gambling for that Porygon in their Pokemon Fire Red playthrough, right? Anyways, I named them Oriana, and then I fill up the decks a little bit more too by getting the Clefairy, Dratini, and Scyther as well from the rewards. Now it's time to challenge the gym leader Erica, but there's this creepy old guy staring at the girls in the gym from this window outside. Me too, old man. Me too. But this gym is mind-numbingly easy for now, since Chiding can just set up Sword Stance and then just one-shot everything with Aerial Ace. So, you know, that's our 4th gym badge, which is actually our 3rd gym badge. So now we have to make some adjustments to the team, and we decide to get rid of Wigglytuff and banish her to the PC box since we have 2 normal types. We also grab out the Drowsy and add him to the team and name them Malzahar. Around Celadon City, I just finish up a few things like grabbing the free Eevee and then giving the policeman some tea to allow us access into Saffron City. On Route 12, we also catch a Doduo as well as getting the HM for Fly, which we can't use yet since we skipped the previous gym. So after completing all the side quests and stuff, we make our way into Team Rocket's hideout underneath the casino and go through it all to get to Giovanni. And then Ivan sweeps him. Honestly, this might as well just be a video of just playing Pokemon Fire Red with only Venusaur. Now we get the Sylph Scope, which allows us to explore the Pokemon Tower from before, where we grind our Pokemon up a little bit, as well as catching a Ghastly and a Cubone. There was also the spirit of a Marowak blocking us from getting to the top, so we perform an exorcism on it to send it to the underworld. At the top, we see Mr. Fuji getting harassed by Team Rocket, so we step in to save the day. He then takes us home and makes us play on his flute. Pokey flute, that is. But now we can wake up the Snorlax that has been blocking our path before. But then we decided to head to the dojo first and grab ourselves a Hitmonlee, and then we decided to go back and finish off Lieutenant Surge for the gym badge, which now means we can fly on Chading, which doesn't really make sense if you think about it since he's such a small bird. I feel like I just kind of crush him. We fly back on Chading back to Saffron City, where we explore Silphco a little bit since it's been taken over by Team Rocket, of course. Malzahar evolves into Hypno here, which is a very nice power spike for us. This building is one big headache, so I'll skip over the teleporting part, but we make it to the right spot, and for some reason Gary's just chilling here. Now normally you'd expect a good guy to help you take down the villains, right? No, for some reason this guy just wants me dead, and he got his wish because Chardlard over here just uses flamethrower, and I don't have anything to counter that. So we head down to Fuchsia City and grab ourselves the good rod to catch ourselves a water type. We catch a Gyarados as well as a Horsey for the Pokédex before getting a Goldeen to add to the team, naming him Fizz. I go back to challenge Gary once more, and this time it actually goes well, even though Fizz didn't actually help. After that, Gary just leaves as if there's nothing wrong with a bunch of criminals taking over this building. But we meet up with Giovanni again and beat him up again. So we've now saved the president of Silphco, who gives us his master balls. I bet the secretary here has had a few experiences with those. Low key, I'm kind of bad at keeping track of all these Pokemon I catch because somehow a Venonat ended up in my PC box. But we also end up taking Hitmonlee out from the PC to join our team, and we name him Lee Sin. And with that, we head straight to Sabrina to challenge her. I taught Porygon Shadow Ball, so they took care of most of her team before Malzahar came out to finish the job with her Alakazam. So now we got a bit of free time, so I take this opportunity to evolve some of our catches from before to fill up our Pokédex even more. I can't really be bothered writing all of that, so I'm just gonna let TikTok Fried Rice God say it again. The whole video is going to be about filling the Pokédex up. We evolve Rattata to Raticate, Mankey to Primeape, Pidgey to Pidgeotto, Pidgeotto to Pidgeot, Weedle to Kakuna, Kakuna to Beedrill, Caterpie to Metapod, Metapod to Butterfree, Nidoran to Nidorino, Nidorino to Nidoking, Zubat to Golbat, Geodude to Graveler, Paras to Parasect, Ekans to Arbok, Oddish to Gloom, Abra to Kadabra, Meowth to Persian, Diglett to Dugtrio, Spearow to Fearow, Voltorb to Electrode, Machop to Machoke, Ghastly to Haunter, Doduo to Dotrio, Dratini to Dragonair, Horsey to Seadra, and Cubone to Marowak. Okay, thank you very much, myself. So with that, we've done a ton of evolutions, and since we're on the topic of the Pokédex, I head back to some previous routes and catch some Pokemon like Ditto and a Krabby, as well as completing the Safari Zone we just unlocked by catching a Rhyhorn, an Execute, a female Nidoran, a 1% Chansey, a Psyduck, a Poliwag, a Kangaskhan, a Taurus, as well as the HM for Surf. To finish everything up, I evolved Krabby to Kingler, Rhyhorn to Rhydon, these nuts, Psyduck to Golduck, Poliwag to Poliwhirl, and finally Goldeen to Seaking. I sorted everyone into final evolutions and also special evolutions like trades or stones, which there are actually quite a few to be fair. In the Safari Zone, we also ended up getting the golden teeth, so we can take it to this house and get the strength HM in return for that. Now it's time to challenge the gym leader Koga with his invisible walls. And this is the first time I've realized that the tiles where the walls are actually look different, so they're not invisible then. But yeah, we reach him and then we just spam Psychic with Hypno. Yeah, I don't know, these gym leaders are just not hard, dude. I'm sure that'll change soon though, probably. So with a new gym badge in hand, that means we now have to get the next one. But before that, I explore a bit of Route 18, which is a cycling route next to Fuchsia City. So I went to Cerulean City to get the bike first. On this route, there's really not much, but I do end up trading a Golduck away for a Licky Tongue, which is how I be feeling sometimes. We also catch a Snorlax somewhere as well. So the next destination is Cinnabar Island. So we surf through Route 19, and on this route I catch a Tentacle as well before we reach the Seafoam Islands, which is our next roadblock. Inside is a few strength puzzles, which takes a little bit of brain power to solve, but eventually we get it right, and that means we can now get out safely and surf over to Cinnabar Island. However, it seems that the gym is currently locked, so I take this time to head up to Route 21 and catch a Tangela, and then head back to the Seafoam Islands to go and catch the Articuno just chilling in the cave. But enough with getting sidetracked, man. Goddamn. We head into the Pokemon Mansion on Cinnabar Island to explore, and inside it's like a statue button puzzle type of thing. We catch a Coughing and a Grimer here too before we manage to find the secret key in the basement, which is how you get into the gym. I don't know about you, but I feel like this is a pretty bad way to get people to challenge your gym. You know, having to get them to go through a whole mansion to the basement is just kind of... Like, why? Anyways, we evolve Coughing into Wheezing, Grimer into Muck, and then Tentacle into Tentacruel before challenging Blaine. So that brings our Pokédex total to 94. Inside the gym, it's just some trivia questions which are pretty easy. So we make it to the end in like 5 seconds. And look, I would love to have an eventful gym leader fight someday, but today is just not the day because Fizz just whoops this old man into his deathbed even when he's underleveled. Once we grab our badge and head outside, Bill is actually outside waiting for us and kidnaps us to go to the Sevy Islands. Now, when we're here, we have to complete a few things before we're even allowed to leave, so that kind of sucks. But first up is Kindle Road, which leads us to the Ember Spa, where we can get the HM for Rock Smash, as well as stare at some old men bathing. We leave and catch a Ponyta for the Pokédex before starting the long hike up Mount Ember because there's a special piece of fried chicken waiting for us at the top, which we managed to catch after spamming a few Ultra Balls at it. Next up on Island 2, there seems to be a man who has lost his daughter called Lostelle. What a fitting name. A thug on a motorcycle barges in and causes a bit of a ruckus, so we follow him all the way to Island 3. By the way, we also teach Venusaur his ultimate move. Anyways, we're greeted by a group of thugs on Island 3 and we have to take them all down, which Venusaur does easily by nuking them all with his ultimate move. After that, we head past Bond Bridge and into Berry Forest where Lostelle should be. We find her in the far corner of the forest and try to calm her down, and she tells us a Pokemon has been stalking her, which turns out to be a Hypno. So I don't know, I guess that means Lostelle was about to die or something. I mean, here, look at this Pokédex entry. It carries a pendulum-like device. There once was an incident in which it took away a child it hypnotized. I'm guessing this is the Hypno, but please get this guy away from me. And yes, I know we have a Hypno on our team too, but I know for a fact he does not touch children, only old men. Anyways, we bring Lostelle back to her dad, and now we can finally get off this island. And now it's time for the final gym leader, Giovanni. Now, maybe finally you'd expect a tough gym battle, but no. You only have to fight like 2 trainers to get to the end, and then Giovanni just kind of sucks, to be honest, because Seeking kind of one-shots everything. But now that we have the final gym badge, we now have to take on Victory Road. But before that, Gary wants to challenge us again, and the only Pokemon that really gave me problems this time is the Alakazam. But apart from that, we ignore Gary once again, go through all the checkpoints, and then power through Victory Road since it's so short in this game. Like, if I was making my own Pokemon game, I would make Victory Road so long and tedious and make it impossibly hard. I don't know if that's just me though. You know? Because then you actually feel like you've achieved something at the end. Anyways, we reached the Indigo Plateau and it is now time to take on the Elite Four. After a little bit of preparation with leveling up my Pokemon a bit and stocking up on healing items, I head in to fight the first Elite Four member. Now, before we start, this was insanely hard because I had no idea how underleveled I was. I just kind of winged it. Anyways, Lorelei starts off with a Dugong, so I lead with a Hitmonlee who 2-shots her Dugong with a high jump kick and a Brick Break. Slowbro comes out, so I switch into Porygon, who unfortunately just gets 1 shot on the switch in. But then Ivone comes in and cleans it up with 2 Razor Leaves. She then sends in her Lapras, but we hit her with the classic Sleep Powder and Leech Seed combo. You'll be seeing this combo a lot in this Elite Four run because it's genuinely so useful. Boring, sure, but useful. Now, with Lapras asleep, we take this chance to switch it to Hitmonlee, who misses a high jump kick and then dies. So it's back to Ivone, who finishes the job. Then Jinx comes out, so we do the exact same thing to take it out. And then Ivone uses 1 Razor Leaf to take out Lorelei's final Pokemon, Cloyster. After healing up and everything, the next member is going to be Bruno, who has a bunch of rock and fighting types, so it's pretty easy since we have a ton of coverage for that. So honestly, let's just skip past this one since it was way too easy. Then that brings us to Agatha, who I hate with a burning passion because of that leading Gengar, and it took me so long to figure out a method to work around that purple little gremlin. Before the battle, she says Professor Oak is too busy fiddling with his Pokédex. You can fiddle with my Pokédex anytime, Agatha. Anyways, back to the fight. The best way to get this Gengar down turned out to be the simple Leech Seed and Sleep Powder combo again. You know, the bread and butter. Once Gengar eventually dies, Golbat comes out and takes out Oriana. So Hypno has to come in and clean up, and also manages to take the Arbok to red before ultimately fainting as well. So the GOAT Ivone comes back out again, sweeps it up, and then Leech Seed stalls the Haunter and other Gengar. Listen, I'm like 10 levels underleveled on all my Pokemon right now, so my only option is to stall them out. Finally, we reach the last Elite Four member, Lance, who uses Dragon types, and I have literally nothing to counter dragons, so Oh boy. Lance starts off with the Gyarados, so we put him to sleep before switching into Porygon, who knows Thunderbolt and takes him out. Then in comes Aerodactyl, who we take out with his Seeking Ice Beam easily, and then he gets knocked out by Dragonair. So now I have no more Ice-type moves for this fight. Luckily, Dragonair used Outrage, so I stole for a little bit to make them confused, and then we can take them out without any problems. The final Pokemon Lance sends out is a fat Dragonite who takes out my Pokemon one by one. Hypno goes down, then Ivern, then Lee Sin, until it's down to Farfetch'd versus a full HP Dragonite 13 levels above it. Now, realistically, in a fight between a big dragon and a literal bird with a leak, who would win? Of course, it would be the bird because he gets a crit. So now it's finally time to fight the champion. We heal up all our Pokemon and heal their PP as well. And I'm actually going to let the TikTok version of Fried Rice God take over for this last fight, because if I'm going to be completely honest, I am not editing all that again. So sit back and enjoy the final fight to see if we end up beating the game or not. Take out the bird by paralyzing it and then hitting a lucky crit on it, but then in comes Alakazam. And you know what I said about the Gengar before? I hate this Alakazam even more. Who decided to make this guy so strong? But we get lucky because he just keeps using Future Sight instead of actually attacking, so I'll take that honestly. Gyarados comes in, but we take it out after sacrificing a few Pokemon, and then in comes Charizard. So we have to sacrifice Hitmonlee to get a free switch into Seeking, and look at that level difference, and look at the damage I do! I'm so cooked! Fizz dies to Charizard, and now we're left with 2 Pokemon, Venusaur and Farfetch'd. Keep in mind, Gary still has 3. Anyways, we put him to sleep and switch into the bird, and we keep using Fly since it spends 1 turn invulnerable to all attacks, which means Leech Seed can keep chipping off some more damage. Eventually, we get a crit, and down goes Charizard. At this point, I am so pumped because I'm getting all these crits at the best time. Next is Rhyhorn, and I literally cannot switch into Venusaur without sacrificing Farfetch'd, because otherwise Venusaur would die straight up, and then I'm really cooked. So Chitting goes down, but then Venusaur can safely come in and Razor Leaf the Rhyhorn away. Now this is what it comes down to. Grass type versus grass type. Now this is a big problem because yes, we can make him fall asleep, but Leech Seed doesn't work against grass types, and my only damaging moves are Razor Leaf and Frenzy Plant, which has a cooldown, and they're both grass type moves, while Executor has Egg Bomb. So now begins the painfully careful process. I have to keep Executor asleep while also slowly chipping away with Razor Leaf. I have to predict when he'll wake up, otherwise he'll put me to sleep instead because he also has Sleep Powder, and it goes down to the wire. Both of us on yellow HP. He wakes up. I miss my Sleep Powder. He misses his Egg Bomb. I miss my Sleep Powder again. His Egg Bomb hits. I'm on 1 HP. He's in the red. He's 1 shot away. I'm faster. And then he full restores. And just like that, Executor is back up to full HP, and it looks like it's all over for us. There's no possible way that Venusaur can come back from 1 HP against the full HP Executor.
Everyone knew who the hero was going to be. I didn't stand a chance in hell. Naturally, there was no scenario where the monster would ever win. I was always the loser. The popular kid always beats up the little guy that no one likes. That's just the way the world works. Screw justice. And screw evil, too. I'm gonna be killed simply because that's what everyone else wants? All I want is to make them understand. I'm here to fight for underdogs everywhere.
But we won't go down like that! Sleep Powder after Sleep Powder! Ivan, the goat keeps pushing on! HP slowly going down! Executor can't do anything! And finally, Ivan does it! Executor falls to the ground! He's done it! The goat! Ivan, I never doubted you! Oh my god! And so, with that, we have officially beat the game with this absolute horrendous team. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and like the video too to help me out. I'll be posting more videos soon. My next series will obviously be this, but in Johto, so if you want to be involved in that, head over to TikTok and follow me there. Apart from that, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you'll join us on our next adventure.